I'm flying up to Brisbane to meet with my brother Cameron for a 4-night camping trip. From Brisbane we'll travel nearly 3 hours north to Tin Can Bay and hire ourselves a 4-wheel drive vehicle. This will allow us access to Inskip Point, a sandy outstretch from where we'll catch a vehicle barge to transport us to the most southern point of Fraser Island. Fraser Island, otherwise known as Gari, is a World Heritage spectacle, measuring over 120 kilometres in length along the southeastern coastline of Queensland. The island itself boasts some of the most amazing fishing, scenery and wildlife you could ever imagine, many of which is unique to the island. And in this video, we'll find some of the wildlife many out there would prefer not to come across. So strap in, enjoy the ride of our 4-night stay on Gari, the world's largest sand island. It didn't take too long before we came across our first dingo. The Australian dingo, particularly on Fraser Island, represents one of the purest genetic strains of these ancient wild dogs. Isolated from mainland breeding for thousands of years, these lean, sandy-coated canines, averaging 18 kilograms, sustain themselves on a diverse diet of native mammals, birds, reptiles, and the occasional beach scavenging from fishermen, which explains their naturally slender build. I might be getting a few Taylor. Yeah, that's not what you want to see.
This guy here putting on his hat is a fisheries officer, and there's his mate. They're obviously here checking out bag limits and fish sizes, making sure people are complying with the regulation. Where all these vehicles here are currently is in front of what we call a gutter. And a gutter is a large channel of water that sits in pretty close to shore, and it'll hold things like dart, whiting, bream, flathead, trevally, and mainly tailor, because this is tailor season, which usually starts around July to October and it peaks around August, September.
This is the Dundaburra campground. Our aim was to spend 2 nights here, then travel further to the north past Middle Rocks to camp our remaining 2 nights at Waddy Point. This campsite has everything from flushing toilets to hot showers. Behind Dundaburra sits the Wungol sand blow. It's one of the unique geological features on Fraser Island and formed part of the largest, most complete collection of coastal sand dunes in the world. Many of the campgrounds are completely surrounded by dingo-proof fences, and vehicle access to campgrounds like Dundaburra are fitted with dingo-deterrent electrified grids. Maps supplied by Queensland National Parks easily identify which campgrounds are fenced and which are not. So for those folks out there who are planning on visiting the island with young children, these easily identifiable options on the map makes locating an appropriate campsite easy. One of the critters these fences won't keep out of the campsites are 2 of Gari's species of monitor. The one shown here is a lace monitor. The other subspecies, which unfortunately we missed out on seeing this trip, is the sand goanna, otherwise known as a Gould's monitor. These large opportunistic reptiles are often seen around campsites, generally scavenging for food scraps, as you'll soon see. So what you get when you got your unwanted visitor. Hey! Psst. Hey! 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 Get out of there! Big fella! You wanna fight? Wanna fight me? Getting in everyone's rubbish. Got his tail all set up there, give me a whack with it. He's got it all like this. They're as big as they look. Nice looking lizards though. We attempted to catch a few fish in the afternoon, but surprisingly, as good as the water looked, we didn't have too much luck early on. The aim was to catch dinner each night, otherwise we had joked that we'd be eating the variety of tinned food we brought along to accompany our anticipated haul. But whilst we were struggling, however, the guys next to us were proving that there was much bigger fish on the take out there. These guys were using a heavy-duty drone to drop baits out past the breakers and spent the best part of 2+ hours getting this particular catch to shore. Just to note, they did end up returning the shark back to the water. Probably an hour or so after the departure of those fishing down from us, the fish were finally back on the bite and our dinner plans back on track.
or you could say on the table.
Delicious. Well, we got fish tacos now. All right. That looks great. Look at that. They said you can't have fish tacos on Fraser Island. Fish tacos. Yum. Yeah.
The SS Maheno is one of those Fraser Island landmarks you simply can't miss. I mean, you literally can't. Its rusted silhouette can be seen for miles in either direction. This vessel was one of the first turbine-driven steamships back in the day, built in Scotland in 1905. Her first mission was to transport passengers between Auckland and Sydney via the Tasman Sea, and by 1907 she'd set a speed record on that route that stood for 25 years. During World War I she was converted to a hospital ship, arriving at Gallipoli in August 1915. By 1935 she was outdated and sold to a shipbreaker in Osaka, Japan, to be sold as scrap. As fate would have it, a cyclone broke the ship loose and it was eventually stranded on Gari's 75-mile beach, and only eventually to be used during World War II as an RAAF, Navy and Special Command Z-Force bombing target. The ship is now left untouched, protected even, and allowed to spend the rest of its days being consumed by the salt, sand and sea. We're travelling south from our campground to Yurong village. Yurong serves as a gateway to places like Central Station, and as its name suggests, it's a central waypoint to access many of the incredible inland freshwater lakes. Yurong is also a great place to stock up on fuel and supplies, as well as grab a bite at the local bakery, or even sneak in a beer or two at the Yurong Hotel. Back in the day there was no bitumen or paved concrete in this village, with many getting bogged attempting to refuel their vehicles. So in that regard, a lot has changed since I was last here, perhaps 35 plus years ago now. Funny though, as the names I see dotted around the place like Sid's Bar after late tourism pioneer Sidney Melcham, and Ray's Place after local character and resident Ray Wilson, there are certainly echoes of the past. For Yurong, however, the times have changed to stay relevant. This is Central Station. Central Station used to be a hub for the logging community back in the 1920s, complete with a few dozen homes for the workers and their families who lived here. There was even a school for the kids. Incredible trees like the hoop pine and tallow wood in this area still stand tall. With the listing of Gari as a World Heritage Site and a National Park, logging was officially stopped in 1991 and the practice here was banned. Within Central Station is the must-do Wangulba Creek Nature Walk, an easy 700 metre circuit that winds its way along the crystal clear platinum sand-based creek in amongst what seems to be an almost impossible robust rainforest that thrives in these sandy conditions. If you're lucky, you may spot the occasional freshwater catfish working their way around the submerged logs and leaf litter. We're on our way to visit Lake Mackenzie, perhaps arguably the most photographed freshwater lake on the island. Its stunning crystal clear fresh water and silica white sand make it a visual masterpiece. Whilst it's not the largest body of freshwater on the island, that title is held by Lake Boomagen, which covers an impressive 200 hectares. Lake Mackenzie is said to be the second largest lake, covering roughly 100 hectares. Some even claiming that figure may be an underestimation, with 150 hectares being more accurate. Many of the inland tracks on the island are now one way, certainly a far cry from how it used to be with the old two-way system. The tracks also appear almost graded somewhat. Either that or it's due to the numerous tourist buses that frequent the area during the weekends and holidays. We're heading to Lake Wabi, except we decided not to enter via the inland tracks, but more so to hike in from the beach and across the vast sand blow that conceals it. Lake Wabi is considered the deepest lake on the island, running at a depth of 11.5 metres. For decades it's been claimed that the lake would eventually be engulfed by the massive hammerstone sand blow that is encroaching on it, but quite frankly, it doesn't appear any different to me. This pristine green-coloured lake is a little different to many of the other freshwater lakes on the island. Unlike Mackenzie and Boomergen, in which the water is considered too pure to sustain fish and other aquatic life, Waddy is home to at least 7 different species of fish, including freshwater catfish, rainbow fish, and the very rare and elusive version of the latter, called the honey blueye. Basically, it's a guppy, which I'm sure me describing it as such would annoy many of the fish aficionados out there.
It's nice and cold in here.
We figured since we were revisiting all our favourite places, one of Fraser Island's most popular tourist hotspots is Eli Creek. We've probably passed over it at least half a dozen times already, but it was now time for a closer look. Eli Creek is certainly one of the island's natural wonders, pumping out an incredible 4 million litres of fresh water into the ocean every hour. That same water, it's been claimed, has been filtered through the many sand blows that lead to the creek, and could potentially have travelled for 100 years before reaching its final ocean destination. Eli Creek is a summer hotspot, and is extremely popular with people bringing inflatable tubes and rafts to leisurely float down at a relaxing pace, while soaking in the natural peace, serenity and beauty this place encapsulates. The easily traversed timber walkway goes a long way in preserving the banks by limiting random access points, so for me, this is a new and welcome addition. Outcrops of what is referred to as coffee rock create some interesting aesthetics to the landscape on the island.
as well as potential obstacles for vehicles navigating them at high tide. Luckily these days, many of these outcrops have bypass tracks around them. These so-called rocks are still comprised mainly of sand, but weakly cemented together by organic matter, mostly derived from plants, giving it a soft, delicate texture and a dark brown colour, resembling coffee grounds, hence the name coffee rock. Their formation is somewhere from tens of thousands to millions of years old. Traversing the eastern shoreline, you'll pass a few examples of these, but the main ones encountered are Pyungan and Gidney. For those hardcore four-wheel drive enthusiasts who want something of a challenge, Nagala Rocks makes things a little more interesting. But due to the fact that most four-wheel drive hire companies won't let you take their vehicles up past Waddy Point, we're allowed an exemption. But as far as putting it over those rocks, we certainly weren't going to try that. Being that we weren't going to turn this into a fishing video, there's plenty of anglers who have mastered this sort of experience on film. We couldn't let it go without showing we were more than capable of hauling in the big ones.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Well, everything feels big when you've been catching the size trout that I like to catch. There he is. Good fighting fish. And off he goes. Of course we did catch bigger fish, but mostly later in the afternoon for our dinner. Fish like this, for example. I do enjoy good catch and release, but this version we did the following day heading up to Waddy Point isn't for everyone. And anyone unfamiliar with these particular, let's say, aquatic species, should avoid this hands-on approach.
He's a bit exhausted, but he's doing alright. Yeah, look at all the barnacles on him. No bites. He don't bites. Oh, you like that, don't you? Actually, just watch him. He's going to try and cruise out of there. There you go, Grump. Ah, piece of piss. It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
What were we worried about? No fishing, so that could be a good marine place to pop the snake.
Just checking the bucket.
Yeah, he's got to flick the lid off.
That is nothing like how that used to be. Do you remember they would do like hundreds of metre run up?
Yeah.
So I reckon we do go up maybe to Waddy.
This is the stunningly picturesque drive between Indian Head to Middle Rocks. It is past Middle Rocks we are seeking a sheltered spot behind Waddy Point to release the sea snake. We figured the problem with leaving it where it was is it would eventually succumb to sun exposure or simply be hit by passing vehicles. Unfortunately, there were plenty of these snakes washed up, mostly due to sheer exhaustion from fighting turbulent water from the wild easterly winds that have been blowing in. Sea snakes generally prefer calmer waters. As it happens, Waddy Point has a no fishing zone this time of year, which runs from the 1st of August through to the 30th of September. That zone extends 400 metres north of Waddy Point to 400 metres south of Indian Head, including a 400 metre sea exclusion zone. The purpose being to protect spawning fish in the area. So as such, we figured this might be a nice calm place to release our scaly friend.
Hopefully there's a nice rock pool over here. Yeah, I'll have to have a look. I've got a feeling he's an olive sea snake, so.
Love a float, but I think.
Nah. And if he just hangs up around the rocks.
Yeah.
I reckon. Just nestle him up in here. All right, let's see what Grumpy Chops has in mind. How are you feeling now, buddy? Bit better?
Unfortunately, we came across quite a few of these animals, and this yellow-bellied sea snake appeared a little worse for wear. Potentially future dingo food, but now that's up to the snake. Just as a warning, these animals are extremely venomous and will easily bite given an opportunity, so I do not recommend handling them. As a passionate snake keeper myself, many of which are venomous, I felt almost somewhat obliged to save a couple of them by moving them to calmer waters. So basically that sums up our trip. I hope you've enjoyed the journey and seeing and hearing the things that make this such a special place. A big thank you to my brother for organising this trip as well. It surpassed my expectations. With miles of incredible footage to go, I thought we'd end this video with something special. Enjoy.